Hey guys, welcome to episode 4 of the Creator's Guide. My name is Shakira, and in today's video we're going to be covering the basics of invoicing. According to SARS, there are 5 main criteria that must be on every invoice. If your business is VAT registered, or if you as an artist who has a registered business is making more than 1 million rand annually, that means that it's compulsory for you to be VAT registered. Once you are VAT registered, there are 7 criteria that your invoices will need. But since our channel is aimed predominantly at independent artists, creatives, and entrepreneurs and small businesses, we'll assume that for now you're not VAT registered, so we'll only focus on the 5 main basics. Every single day, creatives are required to do things that we don't necessarily enjoy, and a lot of the times we don't even understand them. And one of the pains of our existence is invoices. There are plenty tools, templates, and products that you can buy and download for free that can help you with your invoices. But today's video is going to focus predominantly on making sure that you understand all the elements that need to be placed on an invoice in order for it to be SARS compliant. So that the next time you either download a template, you're using a free app or anything like that, you know exactly what to look out for in order to make sure that your invoices have everything that they need. The worst thing is when you send an invoice to a client, maybe it's a big corporate, maybe it's an agency that you've been wanting to work with for a long time, and there needs to be this back and forth between you and the accounting department because your invoice doesn't have everything that it needs. Many people in South Africa have been there, including us. It took us a while to figure out everything that our invoices needed to have in order for them to be compliant and in order for them to be accepted by most accounting departments. And so in this video, we're going to take you through the SARS checklist of invoicing fundamentals while also showing you how we manage our invoices on Excel on a PC. We are aware that many creatives in South Africa are invoicing from their cell phones and are using free apps. We will make another video in the future where we talk about what the best app options are and how to do your invoices on your phone. But today, let's just focus on the basics. On this example, you'll see everything that a basic invoice needs to have. So let's go through what those elements are. Number 1, every single invoice must include either the words tax invoice, VAT invoice, or invoice. We recommend always including the words tax invoice unless your business is making more than 1 million rand turnover per annum, then you must include the words VAT invoice. If it just says the word invoice, that's okay, but in order to cover yourself, we always include the words tax invoice. The next thing that must be on your invoice is the details of your business, or your details if you're acting as an individual. So over here, you'll see we have a company name, as well as the details of the person at that company. So it's got our address, name, phone number, and email address. The next thing to always include is the details of your client or the person that you are invoicing. Over here, we have the company's name and then the contact details of the person that we are dealing with at that company. You can include their name, surname, phone number, email address, and if you have the address of the company, we always include that as well. The next thing, and this is extremely important, is the date and the invoice number. All invoices must have the date and the invoice number in consecutive order. So when we're looking over here, you can't go from invoice number 1 to invoice number 11 without having all the numbers in between. So always make sure that you're going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or if you're starting at 100, you're going 100, 101, 102. You can start your invoice at any number you want, but all the invoices that follow need to be consecutive. The next thing, all your invoices must have a detailed description of what the goods or services are, and we include that in that little box over here. So as you can see in this example, the big company booked us to do an ad campaign, and as a part of that ad campaign we included a multitude of services. So we've got photography, videography, dance, live art and music production, and then everything is broken down in detail. So over here, hold on, over here you'll see that we've included the quantity. The quantity is extremely important, and for this example these are all services, so the quantity just says 1 because we only provided 1 photography service, 1 videography service, etc, etc. But if you were selling, for example, an art piece, and maybe the person that you're selling the art piece to bought 3 pieces from you, then here you would say, where it says project, you would include maybe art sale, and then you would say 1 print, and then if they were buying 3, you would change this number and you would say number 3. Then something that I don't think anyone would ever forget, but you would then include the total. And as you can see on our invoice, we've grayed the total out. We've grayed that block out so that it stands out in the invoice and that the client can easily see the overall amount that's due. Those are all the basics, but some other things that we recommend including on your invoices. So of course, bank details are extremely important. So you can see here, we've made it very clear what our bank details are, and we've given them all the information that they need. So you always want to include the name of the bank, the type of account, the account name, account number, and branch code. Too often do we get invoices where people forget little things like the branch code, but try to make sure that all the details that the client might need in order to pay you is there, because you want to make it as easy as possible for you to get paid. Then another thing that you can add in this little empty space that we've got that I'm reading out right now, this is a great place for you to put any other details that you would want the client to know. So if you have any terms and conditions, so for example, if they need to pay you 50% up front, or if they only get the photos after the full payment is due, or anything like that, this red space over here is a great place to add it. You can also add it next to the bank details if you want, but we try to make sure that the invoices are nicely spaced out so that it's easy to read and easy to understand. Something else that can be added is a purchase order number, but we'll go through what that means when we take you through how to use Excel, but a purchase order number would go somewhere over here. If you'd like to have access to this template, we will be providing this template for you for free. More details on how to access that will be provided when we go through the Excel documents. But basically, this is everything your invoice needs to have. And just to run through it one more time so that everybody knows and that we're all clear, all invoices must include the words tax invoice, VAT invoice, or invoice on them. They must have the name and address and details of your company or of the person that is sending the invoice. Then it must also include the details and the name of the company or the person who is receiving the invoice and who is responsible for payments. If you are VAT registered, please make sure that the VAT number of both you and your client is on the invoice. Then it must have an invoice number. Your invoice numbers must always be consecutive, and it must have the date on it. Then you need to make sure there's a clear description of the goods and services, the quantity, volume, or what the product is, and then of course the final amount owed and the bank details to which the payment must go. Now that you understand all the elements that need to be on your invoice, let's go through how to manage your invoices using Excel. Firstly, there are a couple of reasons why we love Excel to manage invoices. One is because you can have all your invoices saved in consecutive order. So at the bottom over here, you can see it says TN001, TN002, TN004, 5, 6, 7, 8, etc., etc. And if you needed more, you could add more sheets going all the way across. Now, what's also great is that you can have a template. Now let's show you how to copy and edit a template. So here where it says TN008 at the bottom, we're going to click on this, and as you can see, it's an empty template that we're going to use, and we're going to fill it up together. So now in order to use it, you're going to right click and you're going to say move or copy. You're going to click on the one that you want to copy and you're going to say create a copy, right? So you can see here it's created a copy, and we're going to move that copy to the front for the purposes of this video, and let's leave it at the back actually. let's change it because now we've got number 8. So let's change it to number 9. So TN0009. When it comes to your invoice numbers, you can make your invoice numbers anything you want. So if you wanted to make it, let's choose a name for your company, for example. So if your company was called Bonga's Media Services, right? So if your company was Bonga's Media Services, you could make your invoice be PMS0001, or you could make them BMS1 or whatever you wanted them to be. We recommend always including the 0001 because your invoices need to be consecutive. It means that if you got to number 100, you would then change it. So then it would be BMS000100, right? And then if you had to make 101, so BMS0101, BMS0102, until you got to number 1000, then it would become BMS 1000 or BMS 1001, right? So include a couple of extra zeros so that hopefully you can call on that business, and when you get it, you have enough numbers to play with to make sure that your invoices are always consecutive. Okay, going back to what we're talking about. So now we're going to focus over here where you see all the company details. So we said the company's name is Bonga's Media Services, right? So you're going to include your company's name over there. You would put your address. So if you lived at number 14 Main Road in that suburb, you would put all the address details there. So 14 Main Road and suburb. Then the city, so let's say you lived in Port Elizabeth, for example, Elizabeth. Okay, then you would put your details there. So Bonga, you put Bonga's phone number and Bonga's email address. So bonga@bms.co.za, right? So email addresses will always do this in Excel. I usually just up the size again, take the underline away and make that black so that it looks neat. Okay, and then over here, if you had your own logo, you could put it there, but if you didn't have a logo, you could take that away, and if you wanted to maybe just put like a big BMS so people know the company or whatever you want to include here, you can put like a cute little illustration or something, anything you want. Remember, you can customize your invoices any way you want, right? So you could do something like that if you wanted to. Okay, so now that you've got all your main details over here, and you've included your logo over here. Let's see, it's got tax invoice already in there. So here you would put the date. So the date is the 10th of March, 10/03/2020. And the invoice number, so this is invoice number 9, right? So remember we said Bonga's Media Services 0009. Okay? Now over here, you would put all the client's details in this section that we're looking at right now over here. So we would include the 2. So 2, this is where you put the company name. So let's say the big company, right? And contact, so maybe the person you're dealing with, their name is Asanda. Okay, and Asanda's phone number, whatever that is. Okay. Then email address. Oh, so you see what happened, how that phone number just jumped. That happens in Excel all the time. So I usually just put double space so that it always is clear. And there you go, it just goes back to normal. So let's say the email address is asanda@thebigcompany.co.za. And if you needed to include the company's address, let's just fix this quickly. There we go. If you needed to include the company's address, you would put it here. So some clients will require that all their details is on the invoice. So if you need to put, if the company's address must be there, let's say it's number 51 Main Road, Santon, you would just put it like that, okay? And if you needed to put a PO box number or anything like that, you would just include that over there. Perfect. Okay, let's go to description. You don't have to put project the way that we have over here. So currently we're just working in this block. You don't have to include the project, but We like to include it so that it's always clear to the client straight away what this is about. So let's say the project that you're doing for them is some event. So let's say maybe it's the end of year party for the big company. So you'd say project end of year function, right? And maybe for the end of year function, you needed to provide some videography services. So you would include videography, and videography, we say it's 5,000 Rand, for example. And then maybe you also needed to do some photography services. So then photography, let's say it's 3,000 Rand, for example. And maybe you also provided them with some sound. So let's say sound hire, and maybe the sound hire is 2,500. Okay, over here, remember we spoke about the quantities, that it's very important. So in this case, because you've listed the service altogether, the quantity would just be 1. But if the quantity was, for argument's sake, 500 Rand an hour, right, you would make it like this. So here we're looking at unit price again. So let's say 500, so we'd say 500 per hour, right? And here maybe the client booked you for 10 hours, so then you would say 10 under quantity, and then your final price here would be 5,000 Rand. So that's another way of doing it, right? So we could do the same with photography. So instead of 3,000 Rand and making the unit 1, we're going to say 300 Rand per hour, and there's 10 hours, so then the total amount would be 3,000 Rand. Okay, sound hire, maybe it's just once off, or it's just one bulk fee. So it's 2,500 Rand, and we would say quantity is 1, and here we would say 2,500. And then if you highlight all of this, you'll see in the bottom corner over here, I can't highlight it for you, but if you just look at the bottom right corner, it says sum 10,500 Rand. So you would put the amount here, 10,500. Personally, I don't always trust Excel, so I usually use a calculator just to make doubly sure that it's right. So you'd put the total there, and if you don't need these extra lines, you can delete them if you like, or you can leave them there. But if you want to be neat, like me, I always delete them. So you just right click and you say delete. Takes that extra line away. Okay. Then over here, this is where you obviously put all your bank details, right? You make sure that all your bank details are there. And if you had any terms and conditions, you would put them here now. So terms and conditions. Not sure why that's so small, so let's make it bigger. You could increase the size. You can also underline it so it can stand out. So maybe your terms and conditions is 50% deposit to be paid up front, and maybe your next condition is photos will only be sent after full payment is received. Whatever you want your terms and conditions to be, you can put them there. Now let's talk about the PO number. Some companies will require a PO number, which stands for purchase order number, especially the bigger corporates. That's how they track all their payments. So in our example over here, where we have TN0002, you'll see we have a PO number here. So let's just copy this for example's sake, and we're going to paste it over here. So we always try to highlight the PO number so that it stands out to the client, because that's how they track their internal payments. Again, this is mostly for your big corporates that you'll need this. Your independent clients and your smaller companies, they won't need it that much. But if you're working with corporates, this is very important. Please note that your PO number, your purchase order number, is unique to every single client and unique to every single invoice. And it's completely different to your invoice number, which I'm highlighting in red now, so that you can see the difference. Your invoice number is your company's internal number or your personal internal numbers, whereas the PO number is what that company or your client will need in order to make sure that you get paid. So if it is required by your client that you include a PO number, we usually just put it under the invoicing number over here so that everything is easy to track. One more thing that I do just want to mention, if you are an individual who is trading as a company or as a sole proprietor, so let's say for example, Bonga is an individual who is trading as Bonga's Media Services, which means he doesn't have a registered company. He's just an individual and they are running their company as an individual. At the bottom or somewhere on your invoice, you have to include Bonga trading as Bonga's Media Services. This is extremely important and all invoices must have it so that people know that you are an individual who is trading as a business. This means that you do not have a registered company, but you are using a business name that is different to your own name. If Bonga was trading as an individual and not as a company, this would not be necessary and it would not be needed because they would be trading as an individual. So if Jack is just running Jack's photography, nothing needs to be there. But for this purposes, because we are acting as a company, you have to put this there. Okay, we might make another video on different examples or different options for when you are trying to register a company so that you know what is available and we can expand more on this. But for now, please, you can Google what sole proprietorship is all about. We'll maybe try to put a link for you in the description of this video so that you can see why this is necessary. And that's pretty much it. Your invoice is done now. So what would happen is you now need to export it into a PDF format so that your client cannot edit it. So let me show you how to do that. You're going to go to File, then you're going to say Save As. You're going to put it in your folder where you save your invoices. We recommend saving all your invoices in one folder so that they're easily trackable because you will need to track your invoices at some point. Now you're going to say PDF and you're going to call it Bonga's Media Services 0009 and it's for the great big company. Okay, and you're going to say save, and when you click save, you'll see that it pops up and there's your invoice in PDF format ready to send off to your client with the PO number over here with your invoice number and all your terms and conditions, banking details and everything right there. And that's pretty much how to do your invoices and how to use Excel to easily manage and to produce your invoices. If you'd like to have access to this template that we've just shown you how to use, you can send us a WhatsApp message. We'll put our WhatsApp number on the screen right now. We'll send you a WhatsApp message, or you should send us a WhatsApp message and we'll send you the download link of where you can get access to this free template that we are providing to you. And those are your invoicing basics. We hope that this video has given you good insight into everything that your invoices need to have, as well as how to easily manage and trace your invoices. Please remember that we will be giving away a free invoicing template on Excel that you can download simply by sending us a WhatsApp message. We'll put our WhatsApp number on the screen right about now. So you can send us a WhatsApp message and we'll send you a downloadable link for that template. Thank you so much for watching today. Please remember that we do release a new episode of the Creator's Guide every second Tuesday. And yeah, follow us on social media, connect with us, drop comments below, let us know if there's anything that you want us to cover, if there's any topics that you need some insight on, and we'll try to make that happen for you. Just a reminder again that we do now have a WhatsApp line. So if you have any questions about how to move your career forward, if you'd like to book a consultation with us, or you're looking for any type of creative service, please reach out to us and we're looking forward to connecting with you. Until next time.